I am Solution Sales Manager in CTGlobal. I have the honor of the presence of Kent Agerlund, the very one and only, and he is the person who will demonstrate some features and good things from Insight Analytics for you today. So I'm not going to waste any time. We're already a little late, so I will give the word to Kent Agerlund. Thank you. Oh, by the way, if there are any questions, we will have a Q&A session in the final part. There should be a Q&A room for you all to write in, and we will manage that in the end. Thank you, Kent. I think it's over to you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the invitation here. Let me start by sharing my screen. You should see my screen by now. Yeah. So let me just go right into it. So first a couple of things here. Today I want to show you and talk to you a little about how we get additional inventory and insights into Insight Analytics. One of the things that I know many are struggling with or challenged by right now is the fact that they're in the middle of a transformation from an on-prem environment, most likely from using Configuration Manager into managing most of your devices from Intune. And when that happens, naturally, there's a lot of things that you're used to get and be able to visualize in Configuration Manager that you're unable to visualize when you're using Intune, Defender, and so on and so forth. So just wanna have a little chat about how we can resolve some of those challenges there. And yeah, let me just go into Insight Analytics here just for a few seconds. This is kind of what I'm about to show you in here. But the challenge, as probably most of you know, is that the information we can get out of Intune standalone is quite limited. So there are a few things that we will have to do to get information out, like my BitLocker encryption status, or what devices do I have that fails a BitLocker encryption, or what about my boot duration, and so on and so forth. Because the fact is, we can get pretty much the same insights out of Intune as we can out of Configuration Manager. We just need to understand how everything is working. So first off, and this is a semi deep dive, so I don't have to explain what Insight Analytics is because you all know that. But first off, if I drill straight in and say, I would very much like to create a widget, then we have as you probably know, we have connectors to Microsoft Defender, we have to Azure AD, we have to Log Analytics, we have to Intune, also known as Endpoint Manager, and we also have to Autopilot. So we have to all of these different cloud services. When I select Endpoint Manager, I'll be able to select some of the predefined widgets in here, and some of those widgets are custom graph query charge, as you can see up here, and I would also be able to search for them. So if I search for let me just do custom. That was what I talked about. Then you will see in here that I have my custom query list, I have my SQL list, and so on and so forth. This means that if I just have some information that I can pull using graph, then I'll be able to visualize that information within SCCM. Now, that's easy. If you have the information. Now the challenge is, what if I don't have that information? How do I generate that information, and where do I store that information so I can actually pull the data? And for that, I've just made a little example, and that little example is is making use of a community tool called Hardening Kitty. It could be, it could literally be any tool that I could use in here. But Hardening Kitty is a community tool used to figure out how well protected is my device if I measure it against the SIS framework or one of the STIX framework or one of the security frameworks that I have developed myself. So Hardening Kitty is a script you run, and that script will then go in and check, is your device fully encrypted? Do you adhere to all the security recommendations and so on and so forth? And if you don't, then it's going to say, well, this one here fails on a severe check. So we're going to mark it as it failed on the encryption check, or it failed on the password length check, and so on and so forth. Just like we know it from a Windows security baseline. It is pretty much the same. When you run it, and it's just a PowerShell script, when you run the PowerShell script, it will generate a local CSV file with all the information. And now we kind of have the challenge, and that's really what I want to talk about in here, because now I have some information that is stored locally on a device, and I really would love to visualize that. But unlike SCCM or Configuration Manager, you don't really have an inventory agent that you can go in and extend and so on and so forth. So we have to do something else, and that something else could be log analytics, because once we have the data in log analytics, then we can start to create the widgets that I showed you just before. And for this demo here, and I'm going to show it from A to Z. So no worries. But for this demo here, I'm just visualizing, how many of my devices in my test environment, where I have a total of 15 devices, how many are fully encrypted, and how many are not, or how many are fully encrypted and how many are fully decrypted. And then obviously I also would like to get a list of the devices that are not encrypted, because we need to do something about them. So first of all, if I just drill into this widget here and look at the details, then when I look at the details, you can see a couple of things. First off, we can see it was created a little earlier today. What time? I can see what template it used. So it used the log analytics query charge. That's the template you can use when you're searching. And I can also see the connector that it used. And that's the Roofbee connector. Here is just my log analytics connector. So this is super useful information. I will also be able to see, what data have we been able to pull, what's the schedule, so how long did it actually take to pull that data, and obviously here it's 0.122 seconds, which is literally absolutely nothing, and that's the way it should be, right? You don't want to have queries that takes 20, 30, 40 seconds to pull, because you might have a lot of those. So I just get a little insights in here to what it is that I've actually been creating. So first of all, the connector. Let me just say a few things about that. If I go to settings and I look at my list of connectors, one of the new things that we have in version 5 is the ability for you to go in and say, you know what, I would like to register a new connector myself. So down here, you can see the different connectors that I have already configured in my test environment. So, Intune, Ivanti, Log Analytics, Update Compliance, Log Analytics, Azure AD, and then I also have a Roofbee Log Analytics down here as well. So if I just click register a new collector, then I can just select the collector in here. And in here, you would be able to select, if it was a log analytics connector, you just select that. And then you go through the wizard and you say, okay, so what's the connector name? What's the app ID? What's the tenant ID that you have? And what's your workspace ID? All of this, if you're not used to working with log analytics, then you can just go and ask one of your Azure people there, and they will know exactly what it is that you're talking about. If the connector is used to include Azure AD sign-ins or Entra sign-ins, and is the connector, does it also include Windows Update for Business Data? So you can go in and deselect them. This is literally, more or less the only thing. So that's what I have done. And then on all of my clients in here, in order to produce the data, let me just, now it becomes just a little nerdy, but I know this audience, so it's okay. So if I just connect to my my cloud PC here, just give it a second. Then on my cloud PC, I have a client. So it's just, and the cloud PC is just a Windows 365 cloud PC. Just cancel that. Yeah, I connected to the same twice. So in here, and it might be a little difficult for you all to see. So let me just get it into a full window here. But in here, I've just been running the hardening kitty script, and I will, I'll give you the links and the insights and what have you. But when I run the hardening kitty script here, and I did that just ahead of time, it's running the hardening kitty, and it has a lot of different configuration files where it knows, okay, I need to check for that, I need to check for that, and so on and so forth. And then at the very end, it gives me a score. What it will also do is it will also generate the CSV file. And this CSV file is what I have out here. So this CSV file just contains all the different checks. You're compliant here, you're non-compliant here, and so on and so forth. It doesn't really matter for this demo, because what I want to again show you is kind of the process and the thing that we can actually do with Insight Analytics. Now, this is how I would normally execute hardening kitty. So I would just invoke the hardening kitty. Say, I want to do this in an audit. You can also configure settings if you wanted to do that. But what we do in order to get some information is that we have just modified the script slightly, or we have created our own script, because what we do after running hardening kitty in here is that we take the information and then we upload that into a log analytics workspace. So once I have it in a log analytics workspace, and that's what I have over here. So let me just get in here. So yeah, this is where I have the data. So this is log analytics, and this happens completely automatically. I'll show you in just a few seconds. But now I have a script that will run, give me some information. Doesn't really matter what kind of information, but it will produce some information. I'll upload it into Azure, into a log analytics workspace. And in here, you can see I have taken the very same query. So this is a Kusto query where I said, just give me all the data generated within last 30 days, where the name is like this, and so on and so forth. And by the way, I want to see, a count in here. So now I have the data, meaning that now I can go into SCCM, and by the way, I changed the time range, but anyhow, but now I can go into SCCM, and then in SCCM I can create the very same, and that's what I've done here. So if I look at this, widget, then you'll see it's the exact same script as I'm used to be running in my log analytics workspace. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that you can literally, visualize anything within SCCM. And if you, within Insight Analytics, I think I said SCCM, but that was a webinar 10 years ago. But within Insight Analytics, so not only do you have the ability to use, all the pre-built templates that we have, but you would also have the ability to go in and say, well, we are right now on a journey where we need to be compliant against this CIS framework, and we have these to begin with. We have these 10 different controls. Then you can, I would say, using this as an example, you'll be able to create this in pretty much no time, as long as you have the data, obviously, right? So now the next question is, how do I get the data? I showed you have log analytics. I showed you, how you can create the widget. I showed you that, the data is in log analytics, and obviously you don't want to, run around on all of your clients and run this manually. So if I just go into Intune here and just give it a second, and if I go down to remediations, then you'll see in here, I have a remediation script called Hardening Kitty. And this script here, this is, and if you're using SCCM, you can do pretty much the same. Then it just wouldn't be a remediation script. It would just be a configuration item instead. But this script here is just running what I just showed you. So here I have a detection script. It will go in, it will execute Hardening Kitty. Hardening Kitty will produce the files that you really want to dive into, and then it's going to upload the results into log analytics. So with this, and if I let me just use something as tech sexy here as Notepad. So what we have in here is we have a solution where we use Insight Analytics to visualize, right? We want to create this fancy dashboard, but the thing is, you are Intune managed, and that's a challenge because I can say we have limited inventory options. That is a fact. Period. We don't really have to discuss that. But what you do right now is you combine your knowledge with the powers of Insight Analytics in here. So we go into, first of all, let me just do it like this in Intune, create remediation. Something like this, right? You create a remediation script. That remediation script will execute on the client. From the client, it will go into log analytics. And in Insight Analytics, you can go in here and create a custom widget. That's it. That is literally how easy it is. And then the question is obviously, okay, so what kind of information do I really want to get in here? But it can literally be anything. So we have all the Azure AD or Entra ID information that you probably want to visualize. How many high risk users have you detected today? What's the time it actually takes you from detecting a high risk user until someone internally is actually resolving the case? That gap there. So let's say in average that takes 7 hours. That's super important gap, because it means that in those 7 hours, the impacted user is unable to log on, unable to be productive, unable to check mails, and so on and so forth. So it's super important to have insights like that. How long time does it actually take us to solve the cases that we have, and you can use pretty much the very same method as I just showed you in here. So that was like the main topic. How can we create some pretty neat, cool insights here? And I've some of the other examples I have here is pretty much the same. Over here, as I said, I'm just using another query. So over here, I'm just answering the question I know I would get. So the nine decrypted devices. I need to know where I need to know who owns them. And this is what I can see from my demo environment, CPC. I'm not really worried because I know that's a cloud PC, and they don't really use BitLocker for drive encryption. So that's obviously okay. The second thing I just want to show you, and I'm very mindful of time in here, is just the new reporting engine. I know I've been in sessions with several of you. I know my colleagues have been that as well, where we have been demonstrating the reporting engine, but just want to make sure that you have all seen it. So in version 5, when you create a new report, you will see you get a report page over here to my right, and you can go in and add new pages in here. So we have some predefined layouts that you can use, and you can literally just drag and drop into these different layouts here. And right now, let me just scroll over here. I'm sorry for my screen resolution, but that's just while we're recording. But I can mix and match. So I can have widgets from one view. I can go into our security and compliance view that I know all of you are using and have seen, and then I can drag the different elements from in here, and I can drag that into the same report here. So the whole idea here is that we give you the ability to create some custom weekly reports or some custom monthly reports where you can super easy visualize the current state of, for instance, your secure score. And what we have seen customers using is the secure score, the exposure score for once, and then also converting some of the widgets in the same templates here into text, so you can add in a little prosa to what is it exactly you're seeing. Why have we moved, or why have we not moved? Do we have any projects or anything going on in here? The reports are dynamic, so you can just go ahead and create them, and then obviously next time you open it, it will make sure that you have updated data in here. But add new page. I do not believe we have any limitation to the number of pages. At least I have not seen it. And I would normally say you definitely want to start with a front template, set the scene. What is it that you're describing? Why is this important to the organization? Have the data. And our experience is, keep it simple. If you can just have maybe 6, 7, 8 widgets, something like that, then that's often more than enough. It's much more important to make sure that you have widgets and some text. And then obviously you need to know your audience because it's so different. So I'm just not going to save my changes for this one here. So I think with a minute or two left to go here, I think that was what I had here. So it was, as mentioned, just a good story on how you can visualize pretty much anything. And I know that, especially for what I showed you in here, much more will come in the future from Insight Analytics. So we will have some predefined widgets, especially around Hardening Kitty, and we'll also be talking much more about Hardening Kitty, because I know not that many knows what it really is, and it provides a lot of value. And it will provide a lot of value to pretty much all organizations out there. With that, hand it over to you again, Asger.
Thank you, Kent. Thank you for that very nice demonstration. I have seen no questions in the Q&A session, so I must assume that your presentation has been crystal clear. I have no doubt. However, I have also posted that feel free to reach out to us after the session. There is an IA support mail that you can always reach us on, or directly to ourselves. So you are very welcome to do that. So with that, I think we'll say thank you very much. We will arrange more of these webinars. There is, in fact, no, sorry, I thought it was a question. We will reach out to you at a later stage with more webinars like this. So thank you very much for now. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.